Assembling that yourself is quite a fun task to do. It's just lovely. I'd do it again if I could, but now everything is assembled, so I can't. So here we are finally on my desk doing some soldering again. Jury, if you do see this video, I need to apologize to you that it took me so long to actually make a video and build this product of yours. This right here is the BTCLOCK. You guys have probably seen this already, but this is the do-it-yourself edition. And yeah, it comes with everything in a tiny box like this. So all the parts that we do need are in here, which is perfect. It runs an S3 mini VMOS, and yeah, we need to solder a couple of things here on this PCB, and I want to do that. I already have prepared my soldering iron, this one right here, which is now heating up. Perfect. We can quickly clean this, and yeah, then all we need to do is just soldering a little bit, and then later on I'll make sure that I do flash this VMOS with the correct firmware, and we'll see if everything works. By the way, if you guys are interested in that, all the links to this product will be in the video description down below. And I want to make sure that you guys know this is not sponsored or anything. I got this PCB as well as these acrylic plates here from Jury, as well as these parts here, and these displays here, which are e-paper displays, I ordered them on AliExpress. They were pretty cheap, I think like $3 to $4 per unit, so not really that much. And then you can build yourself a beautiful BTCLOCK, and maybe we can do some fun things with it as well. We'll see, we'll see. I do have a couple of ideas, but today's video is all about soldering this, and I want to give you a couple of tips and tricks of what you need to do to solder this. First thing first that we can do probably is all of these plugs here. So we do have these buttons. Let's see, we need 5 do we need in total? We have more than enough of them. 3, 4, 5. So 5 here. Let's see if we need another one on the back. No, so we have 1 for spare, which is great. So what we can do is we just put these plugs in here, just clip them in there, and then we can flip the board around and we can solder that together. Should be pretty easy. So 4 here and 1 here. There we go. They are also like really nice and clicky. So if you now move this around, I do have a little bit of solder wire here, and the only thing that we actually need to do is grab our soldering iron. And now let me see, I can probably zoom in a little bit with you. Yeah, so let's solder this one here first. We just grab the solder iron and let's see that everything here is aligning. Number 1, number 2. So soldering in this circumstance is super easy. Like, it's not really complicated, not at all, because there are no SMD components or anything else. So yeah, there's not really that much that you need. And it just goes really easy if you have a soldering iron. This is probably the easiest method of getting used to soldering and solder something in the BTC space. So if you guys are actually into BTC and you want to learn a little bit of soldering before you move on to something like a Bitaxe, which does have only SMD components on it, apart from maybe 2 components that are on the Bitaxe, then soldering your own BTCLOCK is probably the best thing to do, because you see it's super easy. You can do this easily by hand, and yeah. So the buttons are ready in just a second. Here we go. everything soldered. Let me quickly take a look on these solder joints. Let's see, is the camera adjusting to that? It is. Good. So solder joints look good. And if we now switch back to this one, all is clicky. Nice. I love that it is clicky. So now let's move the board around, and the next part that we should probably do is the E/SP, which is a MCU, if I'm not mistaken here, or some old IC. Not particularly old, but here's a tricky thing. So you want to know how to properly place this. Let me zoom in again so that you can see that. So we have this IC here, and there is like a dent on the IC. Let's see if you can adjust camera, please. There we go. So we have this dent and we have this dot. And if you now take a look on the PCB, we see here's a tiny dent on the silk screen, and here's a star. So we know we need to align it like this. Now we need to make sure that we need to somehow we need to get this in there with all these tiny pins, all these tiny legs that it does have. So let's see if I can manage to get all of them in there. The pins or the legs are flexible, more or less. So here we go. Let me see. Can I get them in there, please? Two legs are missing. Here we go. Now everything is in. And we flip the board around. We make sure that we align the dent as well as the dot with the dot on the PCB. We flip everything around and we can solder again. So now let's see. We can just simply solder like that. Should be fairly trivial. Yeah, that is the better way to do it that way. You probably need to just play a little bit around with your soldering iron and the PCB itself to figure out how should you align your solder iron and everything else so that it makes good contact, the PCB gets hot, as well as the legs of the components that you want to solder. And you also want to make sure, if you take a look on the solder joints that I'm creating, that they are fully filled, which is not necessary. You can use really less soldering there, solder wire, but it is just good to make sure that everything is full with solder, because then you have like proper connection between the pins as well as the PCB. And of course you want to make sure that you do have a proper connection, because then everything is working, and you need some electrical connection between these components. So make sure to do that. And I know it is maybe a little bit hard to see that here, but there's a lot of smoke going on. That is normal with my solder that I do have. Let me put in here a little bit more. Here we go. If I now take a look, all of the solder joints look good. We can clean everything up later together. And now the next thing that we can do is we can take a look on the next component. So we can use probably this big resistor here. This is an interesting one. So on this resistor, on the one hand side, there is some text written on it, as well as a small dot. Here we go. And if you take a look on the PCB, we can see it goes in here, which is R1, and one of the corners does have also a dent. So we need to make sure that we align the dot with this dent. This is more or less like a common approach that you do in electronics. If you have a dot or anything else, make sure to align it with the silkscreen dot or whatever is on the PCB. So now I'm not sure if this will hold. It will hold, good. So we can solder this as well. So let's go. Number 1, number 2, I do hope that everything works as expected later on. Let's quickly take a look. Looks good. Solder joints are nice. Yes, everything is nice here. So we have these components already soldered in. Now the next ones that you do get if you have this do-it-yourself kit are resistors. These surface mounted resistors here. Let's see, we have 3 of them, and 2 of them are together, so they are likely the same. And then we do have one which is alone. One thing to tell what kind of ohm resistance these things have is by looking at the number code. And there are online lots of tables where you can just look that up. But if you take a look on the PCB, we see we have R3 and R4 are both 4K7, so 4.7 kilo ohms. And then we have R4, which is a 10K, so 10,000 kilo ohms, or 10 kilo ohms, not 10,000. So both of them who are the same, 4K7, those are these 2, and the last one is this one here. So if he's sending out this do-it-yourself kit, he's actually making sure that you get that. So what we do here is fairly simple. We just, for now, for the record, we take the one which is alone, we put it in here, we just stick it through. Let's make sure that everything is perfect here. Now we can solder that down there. So we quickly solder that here. Number 1, number 2. And the next thing we can do is we can use some pliers, and we can just snap off what is left of it because we don't need it. And now mine is just floating around a little bit in the air. That's totally fine. For resistors itself, there are resistors who do have like a orientation on how you need to put them in, but these ones here, they don't. So we can just put them in. Number 1 goes here and number 2 goes here. So both of them are in. Perfect. Let me dent this a little bit so that they do not fall out. And we can do the same here. Just solder them here a little bit. Number 1, 2, 3, and number 4. Perfect, that looks good. And again, we can just use the plier here and snip off what is left of it. Here you go, perfect. So these things are settled. The next thing that we can do is actually care about the VMOS. We could also now work with other parts. We still have the connectors down here, which we need to solder as well. And we have the USB port, which will go on the back of it. But let's do the VMOS now. So we do have the holder for the VMOS here. One goes here and the other goes here. We just put them in. So I've just put them in. Now we put the board on, and it fall out. We just put the board on the back. Let me, oh my goodness. Yep, WantClue. You could obviously do this differently or try to hold it differently. I'm trying my best to align all of them as good as possible. Let's see if I do it like that. Here we go. Now both of them are in. So soldering again. Let's quickly apply the first one here. And we move forward with the second connector. Let me quickly clean my tip as well. Seems a little bit dirty. There's no, while I'm switching here between all these pins, there is no way of how to do it properly. If you solder all of them and all of them are connected, then everything should be fine. So there is not really a way of you need to solder this connector first and then that. No, just make sure that they are as good as aligned as possible, and then everything should hopefully work. That is what I'm hoping here. So we have the VMOS connector soldered. Perfect. They are more or less nice here on the board. Now we should be able to put in the board. I don't think, maybe I need to. I was thinking, should I solder the VMOS board onto it or not? Maybe I should. Maybe I should, yeah. I'm not really sure. I'll move it up a little bit on both sides so that it is floating a little bit. And I think I need to solder them in order to make sure that it really has like all the connections that we need. So you see it's floating now a little bit. I should probably do that. Let's see, there are standoffs. Maybe I need to put a little bit more down on both sides. Here we go. Yep, I should probably solder that, but man. Yeah, I don't know. I'll do the connectors first for the display. So we need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 connectors. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. So we have all the connectors. We can now just stick them in here. And then we can turn around the board and hopefully, probably half of them are falling out again. I know how I am, and that things are falling out if I do this on camera, but that should be totally fine. So let's see, we have all of them in here, and now moving the board around is totally stupid. You know what? I can use some quick tape to make sure they do not fall off. Yeah, come on tape. Here we go. So if I do it like that, and I just put the tape around it, it hopefully should stick. That's what I do hope, at least. Aha, here we go. Not too stupid. Let's put in my tweezers down there. Let me put it down to maybe 415. That's fine. All right, let's try to align these things. So first connection here. Good. First connection here. So now what I'm doing is I'm just trying to make sure that all of them have at least one pin already soldered, so they are not falling out. And the last one here. Perfect. I mean, sure, this is probably some sort of waste of my... Let me move that a little bit more up so that you can see that better. This is a little bit of waste of the tape, but by any means, it's convenient. So whatever, who cares? So here we go. I was yesterday talking with Scott on the OSMU town hall about that we definitely need to build ourselves these do-it-yourself BTC clocks, and that we both forgot about it because we don't have time to actually do that. And yesterday I was thinking, yeah, man, I need to do that. Like, it was laying in my drawer for over a year now, and I feel so bad about it. So that's the reason why I'm doing it today. And I was like, well, technically I don't have the time to do that because I need to do other things for the Bitaxe firmware and so on. But you know what? Sometimes you just need to tell yourself, you know what? Just chill, just relax, just do something else. You don't always need to be on point on what you're doing. You don't always need to work every single day on the Bitaxe firmware. You can also sometimes just do other things. And today was the day. So I said to myself, just relax, do something that's fun. And for me, doing something that's fun is actually soldering. So I'm really happy that I'm doing that today. And funny thing is, Scott and I were yesterday like, well, maybe we should do like a live stream of how we do it. I'm sorry, Scott, if you're viewing that. I'm soldering mine already. I just took the time. Let's see, that's not good. No, it's good. So for those of you who are still wondering around soldering, basically it is just applying heat and then applying the solder wire to it. But if you want to bring this to the next level educational wise, what you want to make sure is that all of your pins and the corresponding vias or whatever you're soldering that to, and vias are these tiny holes that we are sticking things in, you want to make sure that there's nothing golden left. You want to have like proper solder connection with basically everything, and this includes that the entire thing is filled with solder. Obviously these are just tiny amounts of solder, but still solder. So let's remove the tape. Here we go. This is looking way more like something is going on. Great, great, great. So we have soldered plenty of these things here already. I need to say that I have not looked into the GitHub repository and I have not read any sort of introduction or documentation about how to solder and everything else. I need to do that in just a second, as soon as I'm done with it. I mean, it's not that complicated. We now have a diode here, and you see on the diode there is a camera, please. There is a line here, it's white, and this needs to align with this white line here. The autofocus is not really the greatest here. So let's stick that in. Let's turn that around and let's solder this one. And basically that should be it, more or less. I mean, we do have still a couple of other things left that we can solder, like these 3 connectors here. And afterwards we definitely need to clean it because it's a little bit sticky. We have PL6, we have these jumpers. Totally forgot about it. We have the USB connector here, which is only 5 volts. So if you run this, make sure that you only apply a 5 volt power supply to it. Let's see if this one, I have fat fingers. I'm not sure if this is properly aligning. Let me see. This is a little bit finicky to do. No, it is properly aligning, okay. interesting. So it's not sticking all the way through. It's like I can barely feel it up here. But anyway, that's okay. Damn it. Alright, you know what? Let's try it that way. I know it is there. I should use my tape again. So having tape handy is really a good approach, especially while soldering. So here we go. Everything's in there, and now we can hopefully apply enough solder here. All right, looking good. We have the USB-C connector here now as well. Let's see. I don't see anything missing here. We have some serial ports here. We have these jumper pins up here, but I don't see, oh, I see them. We need to solder them. These are jumper pins, and we need to put them in there. So 1, 2, and number 3. So we need to solder the jumpers. Let's quickly do that. We just plug them in here, stick them in there. 3 of them. Let's use my handy dandy tape again. And then we can solder all of them. So it should be good. I have no idea where the jumpers need to go. So I think boards wise, the board itself is now properly soldered. Everything is in there. Let's quickly take a look in these displays and what I need to do with them. I have totally no clue of what I need to do with them. Okay, so probably they will go like that. So I need to solder them like this. That is at least what I believe. And if you're taking a look on the holes that we do have, this sort of looks correct. So we have more things to solder. Now the e-paper display. You hopefully are making sure that you're doing this as polite as possible to these devices because, well, you don't want to damage them. And I only have 7, so yeah, I don't want to damage them. You know what, the next thing I'll do is I'll make sure that I flash the firmware to these to the VMOS, and after that I should be able to boot this thing up for the first time and see what I need to do. So the first display has been soldered. Let me quickly put off my soldering iron, and let's just stick this here for the purpose of doing it. Perfect. So we have the first module installed, and it looks nice, guys. I need to say that. It really looks nice. I love it. Alright, let me quickly go over to the PC. If anything interesting is happening over on the PC, I'll make sure to record that as well. Okay, I'm back again. Quick info for the flashing. There is a web flasher that you can use, and it's quite handy. But I haven't soldered this one here yet, which is totally fine. What you need to do is you need to plug in the USB cable into your PC and into the VMOS. Then you need to press the O button here, press and hold it, and you need to reset once on the reset button and then leave the other button as well. Then you can connect it. You just simply click on connect and it will recognize the device. That's what you need to do. I just wanted to tell you that you do know how to connect this properly to your PC. So I'll jump over to the PC, do the flashing, and then we'll hopefully see us again in just a second. So here we go. You already see there's welcome on the screen because I flashed it. I didn't need to solder it, which is great. But before we do that, in the instructions, I saw that the jumper pins were like that. So all of them on the bottom ones. And I also made sure to solder all of the displays. So all of them are now soldered. And I can place them on here. And we should be able to test the device itself. Like that. Looks good, right? So now I'll use all of these standoffs that I do have and I'll quickly assemble it. It just goes between all of the displays. Give me a second and we'll be back in just a second. So here we go. I think it's safe to say it's fully assembled. I still should put on the last plate. Maybe I don't, because I kind of love it how it looks right now. But yeah, it's assembled. I was putting in all the buttons. I was screwing it in. I was not really following any order or anything else. Again, I was just doing how I think it might be right. I need to say, guys, this is pure art. I love it. And assembling that yourself is quite a fun task to do. So I really, really recommend this to anybody of you who is interested in doing that. It's just lovely. I'd do it again if I could, but now everything is assembled, so I can't. It is fun. Thank you, Jury, really much for creating the BTC or the BTCLOCK. This is fantastic, and now I'll play around with it. I think that's enough for a tutorial on how to solder this. Lovely. Make sure to do it yourself and make sure to stay humble. Thank you guys for tuning in and see you in the next one.